In this clip, I'm going to show you how to play fullback in football. It all begins with attitude. You need to think of yourself as a bulldozer, and luckily we got somebody here who looks like one. Okay, when we talk about bulldozer, you are clearing the way either for yourself or for a running back coming through. Set, hit, stepping out. Nobody's stopping you. Thanks for watching this clip.
It has been a minute, but we are finally here, the series finale. We've been counting down the top 50 most jacked fullbacks of all time, and today it's my great pleasure to present the top 5 most jacked fullbacks to ever play in the NFL. The fullbacks we'll cover in this episode played a combined 52 seasons in the NFL. I've gone through hundreds of games to compile career highlights, ensuring their pancake blocks do not go lost in time. Fasten your seatbelts because these fullbacks were some savages on the football field. Let's get into it. All right, number 5 is Moran Norris, the former Kansas Jayhawk, 6'1", 250 with some freakish arms. Norris was drafted by the Saints in 2001, played that season in New Orleans, but was waived the following year. He then went on to play 10 more years in the NFL, primarily with the 49ers and Texans, but he also spent a year in Detroit. Unfortunately, it was the 2008 season where they went 0-16. He spent a good chunk of his career lead blocking for Frank Gore, who is number 3 all-time in career rushing yards. He and his wife run the Moran Norris Foundation, which supports at-risk youth in the Houston area. I found an off-season training video from his days with the Texans. Here he is going through a bodybuilding-style lifting session at Hank's Gym in Houston. This place looks sick. You can see all kinds of jerseys on the walls from pro athletes who have trained there over the years. This is definitely my kind of gym environment. He then gets into some boxing training. The man he's training with is Frank Tate, who was the 1984 Olympic gold medalist for the light middleweight division. All this training went to good use. He didn't get the ball much, but you'll see shortly that Norris was a vicious blocker. Let's get on with some highlights. Number 4 is Jay Prosh. This man is a showcase in 1 in 10 million levels of thickness. He started his college career at Illinois and then transferred to Auburn before his junior season to be closer to his family. Without going into detail, he's certainly been through quite a bit in his personal life. In 2013, he played in some legendary games as an Auburn Tiger and was an instrumental part of the offense from a lead blocking perspective. That was the team that beat Georgia in the prayer at Jordan Hare, then beat Alabama on the kick six before losing the national championship game in the last moments to a Jameis Winston-led Florida State team. No one looks like this without being freakishly strong. By the time he graduated high school, he could bench 440 and squat 595. Back in 2011, he made Bruce Feldman's Freaks List, which highlighted the top 10 workout warriors in college football. Before leaving Illinois, he broke the team's all-time power clean record. He then, of course, did the same when he was at Auburn. Ran a 4.72 40-yard dash, which to me is insane when you look at how massive he is. He played 4 years in the NFL, all with the Texans, shared the field with guys like Arian Foster, DeAndre Hopkins, and Hall of Famer Andre Johnson. Prosh seems to be enjoying life after the NFL as a family man. He's only 32, but is a proud father of 4.
I mean, he looks like Hulk. I mean, I don't know if y'all have seen him, but he's like a statue.
When one of your teammates say you look like a statue, yup, you are ripped. Prosh has been labeled a workout warrior. He holds the Auburn school record with a power clean of 380 pounds.
Go ahead and take a look at this table here. You see we have various 1,000-yard rushers from 1997 all the way through 2007. I want you to go ahead and ask yourselves what these rushing performances had in common. I'll give you a second. To answer that question, each of these players had a 5'11", 255-pound freak of nature lining up right in front of them and paving the way. That freak of nature was Lorenzo Neal. Neal is our number 3 most jacked fullback of all time, and if you can believe it, he blocked for 11 straight 1,000-yard rushers from 1997 through 2007. A 3-time All-Pro and 4-time Pro Bowler, Lorenzo Neal had an incredible 16-year career and is arguably the best blocking fullback in NFL history. He was drafted out of Fresno State by the Saints in 1993. He's well known for his time in San Diego in the mid-2000s, where he was the lead blocker for Hall of Famer LaDainian Tomlinson, but he also played for the Titans, Bengals, Jets, Ravens, and Buccaneers. In fact, his single season playing for Tampa Bay overlapped with our number 6 most jacked fullback, Mike Alstott, and if you can believe it, they even used to line up in the same backfield. They called this the Rhino package, over 500 pounds of fullback running full steam through defenses. And if you're interested, Barstool Sports actually put out an interview with the two of those guys a few years ago. I'll link that below. Like many fullbacks on our list, Neal was an accomplished wrestler. He was a state champion in high school and continued wrestling in college. He came in 7th place in the heavyweight division at the 1992 NCAA wrestling tournament. Fun fact, first place in that division that year went to wrestling legend Kurt Angle. Here's a video of Neal going toe-to-toe with a sumo wrestler in Japan, and he actually appears to beat him. Here's a young Lorenzo Neal, presumably during his time at Fresno State, posing down with a bodybuilder. This is before his days as a 255-pound mass monster, but you can see he has quite the build, the wrestling neck and traps. This man was destined to inflict some pain on other humans. Some of you may not know that Neal was the player who fielded the final kickoff on what later became known as the Music City Miracle. Neal was a paragon of longevity. He played in a mind-boggling 221 straight games from 1994 through 2007. When you watch these highlights and get a feel for how he played, that statistic will shock you even more. He played in an era where the fullback was a key part of a team's rushing game, and the man played the position at the highest level for 16 freaking years. I absolutely think he should be a Hall of Famer. Get this man into Canton.
Lorenzo Neal is a pretty remarkable individual in my book. I mean, a 15-year veteran who plays fullback has blocked for 10 straight 1,000-yard rushers. You just don't see many fullbacks like him in the league today, especially guys that can play 15 years.
He was the WAC heavyweight wrestling champion. That's quite a combination.
He looks like a wrestler.
I mean, look at those arms and legs.
I don't know that I have ever seen him really truly miss a block.
Tell you who's wearing some people out in there is Lorenzo Neal. He is wearing those guys. I mean, he is flat knocking them back.
stand around watching this guy practice. He is big and wide. He is a fullback in the NFL.
The crowd wouldn't want to see. See who's the world's greatest, baby.
And now I present our silver medalist. The number 2 most jacked fullback in NFL history is Mike Sellers. No, that's not Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, although the physiques are nearly indistinguishable. A menacing 6'3", 270, Sellers was terrifying. Not only was he enormous even for the fullback position, but he played the game with ruthless energy, landing pancake after pancake. He had an atypical career in that he started out in the CFL as a teenager out of Walla Walla Community College in Washington. He spent 3 years with Edmonton before coming to the NFL and joining Washington in 1998. He played 3 seasons there, then 1 in Cleveland, then went back to the CFL with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and played 2 seasons. At that point, you might think it was time to hang up the pads. I mean, that's 8 years of pro football, right? Wrong. After his second stint in the CFL, he came back to the NFL and spent 8 more seasons in Washington, made his first Pro Bowl in 2008. That's 17 years of professional football. Sellers is a fan favorite in Washington. Most notably, he played with Clinton Portis, who had some great seasons on the ground with Sellers lead blocking. He's currently a running backs coach at IMG Academy, the high school football powerhouse. He unfortunately had some health issues in late 2023, early 2024, and spent around 4 months in the hospital with heart complications, lost over 80 pounds, and actually received a heart transplant earlier this year. I found an interview with him from July, and at that point it seemed like he was doing pretty well as he was back in the gym and back to coaching. This obviously has been really hard on his family, both emotionally and financially, and as you know, medical bills for something like this in the U.S., even with insurance, can be astronomical. His wife started a GoFundMe to help out with their expenses, and I'll leave that link below. Anyways, of course, wish him the best, and hopefully he gets back to full health as soon as possible. I had a lot of fun going through his playing career. He really did everything a fullback can do. Great blocker, handled the football a lot, and was a phenomenal special teams player his entire career. He accounted for some of the biggest blocks, trucks, and tackles the game has ever seen. Let's get into some highlights.
That is 6'3", 272 pounds into the body of 5'11", 191-pound Tramon Williams.
Oh, that's one you can hear all the way up here.
Well, here we are. One more to go. For months, we've been on an unforgettable journey, one lined with thick necks, tree trunk legs, and unrelenting pancake power. An epic quest through the halls of gridiron girth, celebrating some of the strongest, toughest, and most jacked fullbacks to ever suit up on Sundays. It's no secret, the old school fullback is a dying breed in the NFL. Once you take out a second mortgage to pay for Sunday ticket, you won't find teams pounding the rock out of the I formation behind guys who look like this. For better or for worse, the game has changed, but I hope this series brought you back to a time when fullbacks freely roamed the earth, dominating the ground game and clearing the way for countless ball carriers. Without further ado, let's finish off this countdown. Our last fullback is the swollest of them all, a genetic freak among genetic freaks. For me, it wasn't even a question. The most jacked fullback in NFL history is none other than Greg Jones. This man played 9 years in the NFL, all while having the physique of an IFBB pro and a lean 6'1", 250. He was drafted by Jacksonville out of Florida State in 2004 and was expected to complement Fred Taylor as a running back in the Jaguars' backfield. Knee injuries forced Jones to transition to the fullback position early on in his career. Jones embraced the change and became the best fullback in franchise history, paving the way for Jaguars legends like Fred Taylor and Maurice Jones-Drew, who in 2011 was the league's leading rusher. Jones also spent a year in Houston, where he got to block for another great back in Arian Foster. Going back to his college days, Jones was an unstoppable running back at Florida State, delivering some of the most memorable trucks in program history. As I said earlier, this is a prime example of what elite genetics look like. From an athletic perspective, this is obvious, but this man's baseline level of muscularity is not something you're going to see very often or ever. I found some footage from back in his college days. He talks about not needing to do much to maintain his physique, and although I'm sure he cleaned things up in the NFL, he basically just ate whatever he wanted back then. Take a look.
How about that? My mom, my dad, they're both big, so I guess I was just blessed with it, and I basically don't got to do anything to keep it up. I want to stay on top, college football to be good, you got to work out, so that's the only reason why. Eat what I want, junk food, keep a body like this. I eat what I want. Ice cream, chips, candy, popsicles, it's junk.
This is actually not uncommon amongst high-level college athletes and really shows you that some people are just built different. With a physique like this, I'm sure you're hungry to see what he could do on the football field, so let's get into some highlights, and I'll catch you in the end for some closing remarks.
Into another Florida State selection, which we just made. Jacksonville made a trade with Green Bay. And here is Greg Jones, the running back from Florida State.
I played 5 years in the NFL, 5 years in college. That's the hardest hit I have ever seen a running back deliver. Look at the size of those arms. When you combine his lifts, bench, clean, and squat, he's the strongest player on the entire Florida State team.
Well, there you have it. Thanks for watching the video, and special thanks to those of you who have kept up with all the episodes. The series has merged two things I love, football and lifting, and I've had a lot of fun putting the videos together. Although I'm going to be putting out more lifting-related content on this channel, my work is not complete, and I'll be continuing the NFL Most Jacked series. Let me know in the comments what position you want to see next. Check out my free training resources. I've linked that playlist below. In the coming weeks, I'll actually be releasing free hypertrophy training programs inspired by the old school fullback physique. It'll be a pretty comprehensive package, and along with the training, I'll provide guidance on other variables like recovery and diet. So be on the lookout for that. That is all. Have a great day.